everybody. Actually, welcome to take two. I've already done about 15 minutes of filming and realized that I hadn't had record yet, so start over, take two. Tarps. These are tarps that I make. These are tarps that I sell. Here, about 11 and a quarter wide, 11 3/4 maybe, pushing 12 long. This thing with the carrying case, and probably about 100, a little over 100 feet of zingot in it. Weighs in at 525 grams, which is just over a pound, right? 1.1 something. So what I'll do is I'll set it up from tree to tree. I'll have to move the camera obviously, but I'll start on this tree and I'll show you kind of what I do, my process, and maybe pick up something I'll show you on the tarp, and you can even try making one yourself if you want. But right, let's I'll move the camera so I can start on this tree. The one thing I do like about making my own stuff sacks is how they both open from both ends. I do have a hole. I don't know if it's in this tarp or one of my other ones that I'm pretty sure I got it from a pine needle. So that being said, pine needles are like needles, hence the name. And they'll put a hole in everything if you let it, if you don't take care of your stuff. So when I'm setting up my tarp, it stays in the bag on the ground the best I can. Sometimes pops out or whatever. I normally start with I use a taut line hitch. With this zingot, you know, you can have a debate all day whether you use a trucker's hitch or a taut line hitch. Both of them are a pain in the ass to untie, but I find the taut line hitch is a little easier than a trucker's. And I find I can get my tarp a little tighter. So let me put this on. All right. And I always put my taut line hitch on first, and for the reason that I want all my slack in my ridge line to be on the side that I'm going to put my slip knot on. So I'll have to move. I'm going to have to move the camera so I go over here. But I still have the tarp in the bag, which is nice. Hasn't picked up any pine needles or any crap off the ground yet. And it's nice when you're putting it away. When the tarp, first thing in the morning when your tarp's wet, you get it on the ground, it just picks up everything. So it's nice to keep it in that bag. So if it stays wet, it's wet in the bag. You better not pee on that. That was my producer. Obviously you're not in charge of editing, are you? Get it somewhat tight, obviously. Nice slip knot. Now whatever slack I got in the line, I'll pick that up with that taut line hitch. So she's all done. She's tied up on both ends. Swing it around, and we'll tighten it up with this taut line. Ooh, I might have too long. That's way too long. Take 3. So again, I have, on my ridge line, I have prussics. So once I set up my ridge line, I don't have to be overly anal about where I get my tarp. I don't have to set it up that I need my coverage right here. So when I'm setting my tarp up, I have to take all that. I have to do some sort of math. So being on Prustics, I can have my tarp here, or I can move this one, and then I can slide. Probably gonna go to the camera, and I can slide this one here. Now I've just moved my tarp to where I want it set up. The other good thing with this bag is I'll put it at the end. I would have this. I would move this down to slide everything through, and I would slide it down there so I don't decapitate myself every time I walk through. But tighter. Look at that. I should have put it up higher and tighter, but you get the idea. I have another line. Must be on my other tarp. I have another line that I tie from here that goes underneath, and it ties off onto this right here, onto this loop, and it goes underneath. So what I do is if I have anything wet, I can have it underneath my tarp. It'll just run that whole channel, then I can just hang things underneath the tarp. All my guy out lines again are all Zing It. Oh, I've taken all the, and I usually run, I have a bow line at one end, and then I use the same taut line hitch on all of my guy out lines. I'm not going to tie this out. I don't think there's any reason. If I tie them out, I got to put it all away. I put these tie outs. I have what? I have 4 on each side. I could definitely, if I wanted to, thinking I could have put another one right here, but I don't think I've ever used 4 on each side, to tell you the truth. I think I've only ever used the ends. I have these here. I don't think I've ever used these either. But between the ridgeline loops and the 4 here, that's all I've ever used. And I think that's all I've ever needed. So, yeah, that's it. Tarp in a nutshell. Like I said, their price of these, I really can't give prices. It depends on what you want. This is a sil nylon. This is 1.1 ounce sil nylon. I've also had the stuff that's sil poly. To each his own. I don't like sil poly for a tarp. Maybe I don't like sil poly because I don't like touching it. So when you're sewing it, I don't like touching it. A lot of my I use sil poly as a ground sheet. I got a piece of sil poly for like $4, and that's my ground sheet. So that's what I use sil poly for. I have some bags made out of sil poly, but sil nylon, I prefer the feel of sil nylon. But I've had this tarp for, wow, quite a while. And actually, I'm not sure if this one has the pinhole in it or not, which a pinhole doesn't really, it must be my other one. Because I think my other one has that line that goes underneath my little dry, I call it a dry line. For when it's raining, you can I hang my dishes from it. That's a big thing for me. I hang my dishes from that line underneath. That way they air dry, they're not on the ground. Well, even wet clothes, not that wet clothes are going to dry on it, but it's a good thing just to hang stuff. And like I said, it's mainly just for my dishes. The big thing is having a tarp, having that nice long ridge line, and having this thing on trusses. Don't tie your ridge line off on these. Then you're too stationary. You can't move your tarp around. You got to have them on these prussics. So again, it starts raining and I'm in a low spot. I slide this one, slide this prussic all the way over, done. Now I'm tight again. So, like I said, when you set up a tarp, have it on these prussics for sure. Again, I think that's it. Ciao. I think we're, anybody see? There he is. I think we're gonna go play. Oh, when you put it away, this is the good thing about putting it away. So always leave your bag there. So I would have it higher. I say obviously, but I guess I could have put it higher. First thing in the morning, your tarp's wet. You don't want it touching the ground. This is where this bag comes in. Slide your prussics together. Now it's all right here, even though I am touching the ground. And then from here, I'm going to close off this end, and then I'm just going to slide my prussics into that furthest end, and then I'm just going to stuff it. And it's going to keep the dirt off it. Last thing you want is your tarp hitting the ground. Wet you can handle. Dirty, well, if you're watching this video, you're probably a camper, so you understand. You don't want your stuff dirty. Wet's good because anytime during the day that you stop and have a break for a short lunch or whatever, then you just take your tarp out, throw it over a tree, let it dry out. Done. Close up that section. Might be wet, but it's not dirty. And then normally I go over, I'll take out, and then when I undo the lines, I just wrap them all up, and then I just open up a little bit, then just stuff in the ridge lines. So, like I said, that's it. I'll take it down. I'll shoot another hour video on how I undo a taut line hitch while I'm singing. God, I hate that now. That's it. Wasn't much, but like I said, any questions, any whatever, comments, I'll get back to you. Well, not bad, really. Look at that. Huh. Didn't have to use any swear words to get it like that. Of course, there's sap on it. Must be. All right. Bob's your uncle, Larry. The guy brought the steaks for nothing. Didn't even